Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. My name is Taria Maynard.
And I'm Jania Patrick.
And together, well, gosh, diddly darn it, we are
the Confessing Heretics. That was good.
I love that.
Yeah. We might have gotten in tune on that one. I don't know.
So it's Labor Day.
Woohoo.
And
thank you for all the people who work hard in America.
Yeah, yes.
Work hard for that money.
So hard for the money.
I was waiting for you.
I was like, wait, what song is that? She works hard for the money.
Exactly.
Love that song. Anyways. So once again, we really appreciate you guys coming back, checking us out, watching us on YouTube.
For sure.
Listening to us all over the place, giving us the love on social media. It's awesome, and we're just so blessed. And I don't know about you, Jania, but I've had some people message me recently, and I totally was gonna show you the messages and I forgot. But people, you guys are relating to what we're saying. You are finding yourselves in our stories and in how we express ourselves, and it's a humbling and it's an awesome feeling to know that we're clicking with folks.
Yeah. But
it also sucks because it means that there's other damaged people in the world. It just solidifies that, and it's just like, I love that you guys relate to all of our bullshit that we talk about on here. I just hate that you relate to it. I hate that you have.
We love it, but we hate it.
Yeah, it's just I just love that we're here and we're talking about stuff and you're feeling it. You know what I mean? One of my friends from the chorus sent me a message about he had just started to listen to the podcast, and it was something you said about how people. How uncomfortable it is when people are like, I'm gonna pray for you. You know what I mean? Like that condescending, judgmental tone that comes with that usually.
Yes.
And how it makes you cringe and how it makes me cringe. And he totally related to that. He was like, it's just like, he never, it was food for thought for him, Mm-hmm. I love that,
It matters, your intent of your heart behind why you are saying what you're saying. If you're saying something like that out of judgment, let's not. Yeah. Let's just don't.
Just get me off the list.
Yep, nope, I'm good. I don't want to be on your prayer list.
Yeah, no.
There, Gladys.
I don't want you gossiping about me. You're already gonna, but I don't want you doing it in the guise of prayer.
Right. Let's call it what it is.
Gossiping. Talking shit. Throwing shade.
Mm-hmm. The truth of the matter is, people in those moments, they're praying for you based off of their own interpretation of who you should be rather than who you are.
Snap to Virginia.
It's so screwed up, man.
Dude.
So screwed up.
It's just, I have to tell you that we're going to dive in. I guess, do you want to say anything before we dive into today's topic? I mean, today's topic's kind of fast and loose, but we do have a topic of sorts.
No, we are always open to hearing your input, your ideas and stuff like that. And so we absolutely love, receiving information from you guys about your stories, or just, reaching out to us and letting us know that we're not alone is beautiful too. I've had a couple of people do that, Sometimes Taria and I are a little bit slow to respond on things, but I just want you guys to know that we are hearing you. So,
for real.
Yeah. We have our own other things going on too.
We have our own other things.
We got lots of things.
Oh, so many other things.
Yes. So, but we definitely give a crap. So just letting you guys know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for giving a crap about us.
Yeah.
Janie and I, we are busy with our other things, and so, it's hard to nail down a specific day to do this podcast, every other week or whatever, or every 2 weeks as it's been lately, just because, our lives, just our jobs and our families take priority. But we are committed to doing this podcast. We have fun doing it. We talk about it. Well, I think about it constantly. I try and find content to share on our Facebook and Instagrams. What am I an old lady, on the Instagrams and on the TikToks. But we're here for you guys. Yeah, like Jania said, we're just you just keep on trucking with us. You know?
Yeah, heck yeah.
Trucking.
We are here. We don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon.
We got a lot of shit to say. We got a lot of tea to spill and a lot of trauma to divulge.
What's our tea that we're spilling tonight, T?
More trauma. So I asked you, so Jania, I looked at my phone and I texted Jania and pretended I was
energetically
looking at Jania. What is it called when you have a it starts with an A when you it's an out of body experience, but it's like oral
astral projection.
Astral projection. Thank you. I love that.
You astrally projected yourself.
Jania, what do you want to do for the podcast?
God, that just sounds like too much work for
It is. Meanwhile, I could just pick up my phone, boop, boop, beep, and then you just get it, which is what I did.
Exactly.
In all reality. Oh my gosh. So, and then you were like, let's just talk more about our trauma and what that means, and what that means to us. And I can't remember what you said. Basically, that was it.
Basically, I thought, hey, we do a podcast about religious trauma. We've not really talked about what religious trauma really is.
Yeah.
We've talked around different experiences maybe that, have been religiously traumatic, but like, for our listeners, what does religious trauma actually mean?
Mm-hmm.
And why do we feel like that's something that's a part of our lives?
Yeah. Yeah. So I went on Facebook earlier today and I asked, what is trauma? I asked that question. If you don't mind if I dive into
please.
that.
Yeah.
So I, first of all, friends, really appreciate you guys reacting and responding to this stuff.
Like hitting knees with you here.
You're hitting knees with me, Jania. I'm not that kind of girl.
I would hope not, especially with us being sisters.
Stop it. Let's see here. I had so many comments and I haven't read through all of them. Let's see the first one here. And so how do you define trauma is what I said. One person said an event that I think she means reoccurs. Isn't it reoccurs or recurs? I don't know, recurs. And creeps into my thoughts without notice, causing harm to my psyche and disruption to my life, regardless of distance and time and space. Next friend, an event/situation in your life that negatively impacts your view on life/people/situations. Someone responded to that. I really like this definition. What is traumatic for one person may not be for another person. This recognizes that. I would add in after view on the
ability to cope with.
Oh, I see. Oh, so she's adding on to what the other person said. Got it. Lasting damage to your psyche. And then someone else said, whether you think it's lasting or not, it is. Okay? You see here, a present issue due to a past situation.
Mm-hmm.
Being reportedly haunted by something that is no longer happening. The scar tissue that builds up and alters how you move through the world after a powerfully damaging event.
Powerful.
And then here's one. We know this guy right here.
Mm-hmm.
Previous negative experience that creates a jarring memory, in parentheses, physically/mentally harmful. Said experience manifests itself in your actions, choices, and the development of your personality. It may affect how you treat others, yourself, and your ability to socialize. So I'm going to stop there with these because I got a couple other ones we could do, but they're kind of long. We get the idea. Everyone's kind of got a reoccurring theme with trauma. We all kind of have a good idea. I didn't look up the Webster's Dictionary of trauma.
No, but because I feel like that's a very it's almost a personal question if you think about it. Because I feel like we have we can have a classically viewpoint on what trauma is.
Yeah.
But somebody said it earlier, trauma is personal.
Yeah.
It's personal.
So I do the Columbus Gammons chorus. I do the social media for them. And each chorus, each group, it's a TBB. It's tenor 1, tenor 2, baritone bass. So there's 4 sections in the chorus, and I say that because each section has its own Facebook chat group.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got like 40, 50, 20, 30, 40 people, however, whatever, in a chat group or whatever, chit chatting. And our next show is the holiday show called Holiday with an exclamation mark at the end. And we just did our voice placements for that, where new people can come in and basically just be placed in their section. It's not really an audition; it's more of a where can you sing?
Where do you fit?
Where do you fit? And so we just did those, and we gained like about 50 new people.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and not everyone's gonna stick around, for one reason or another. But one of the sections, so when I have sung with the chorus, I mostly focus on the social media now. But when I sing with the chorus, I'm in the tenor 1 section, which is the higher. It's for more of the female. It's for the for the more higher voices, more feminine voices, more feminine presenting voices, what have you, for the AFAB folks and the men, and you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah. It's so hard. I try to be politically correct.
It's the higher tone.
It's the higher voice.
I mean, that's it. You know, if you're able to fit into that higher tone, that's where you are.
And it's so funny because there's an ongoing joke about this one guy who wants to be a bass, and he's clearly a tenor 2. He's the best in the world. Anyways, so the tenor 1s are chatting, and the tenor 1, one of the section leaders, was like, hey, let people know if you're not going to, let the leaders know if you're not going to be singing in this concert, or who was thinking about singing in this concert, and this and the other. And that got a conversation going, and someone was like, well, what's the music we're singing, And so they're like, oh, we haven't, and the other section leader was like, oh, I know it's on Chorus Connection, which is a website we can use that's based around choruses.
Nice.
And you can upload your music, you can make bulletin boards. It's really cool. It's a really good way to connect with folks who don't have Facebook, basically.
Cool.
And beyond. So they were like, the music's from Chorus Connection. So my nosy ass went on to Chorus Connection and looked at the music and did a screenshot of all the music and sent it back in the group. And someone said, I'm not going to be able to do this concert. Christmas music traumatizes me.
Wow. I've
been traumatized by Christmas music or something like that. And I was just like, wow.
Right. As a huge Christmas music person yourself.
Christmas music is the best ever. I love Christmas music.
Right.
But for that person, Christmas music, for whatever reason, I don't know this person's story.
It's attached to something.
But there is something there that is traumatizing, and maybe it's related to religion, maybe it's just related to the holiday, maybe it's related to something familial, something that has to do with their family or friends or something, who knows. But it was just it was a shock to my system, and after a minute it makes sense. I mean, absolutely it makes sense, for all the things I just listed and more. The holidays are hard for a lot of people, and for a lot of people who, and I'm not gonna say that, for a lot of people who were raised in a holly jolly household like we were, Christmas music is one of the best things in the world. I love Christmas in July.
It's true.
Because Christmas in July is awesome. Anything that involves being able to sing Christmas music halfway through the year is awesome. Love it. And it was funny because I started working for a certain company, and it's a retail store. And one of the girls I was working with last week was telling me, was kind of spilling the tea a little bit of the different stores that she's worked in. And apparently one of the stores in the district, they can't find / they can't fix their radio, or they can't find the replacement CD for the season. So all they've been able to play is Christmas music.
That is...
And I'm like,
hilarious.
I would love that, but everyone else would be like, what the fuck is this shit? So I get it, but anyways, but back to the point that you made, what did Morticia Addams say? What's normal for the spider is calamity for the fly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my my normalcy is that person's calamity. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, we know people, like, for instance, that their birthdays are that way for them. We know people who...
My boyfriend.
Yeah. We know people who, you know, struggle with multiple things. Like, the simplest thing. And what's crazy, too, is when you open up the door of understanding your trauma, you recognize more and more things in your life that caused trauma. And I feel like trauma, here's another thing, I'm just going to throw this out there. I feel like trauma is such a heavy word to the point where people don't recognize it because they want to be like, oh, nothing that bad has happened to me.
Yeah.
Bitch, everybody's got trauma.
Everybody's got trauma.
Everybody's got trauma. I don't give a crap who you are. You have trauma.
Yeah.
You know, and it may be the smallest freaking thing in the entire world, but if it sat with you, if it's something that, you know, had bothered you on an emotional level and you still carry that with you to this day, that is trauma, man.
Boy, do I got a lot of that.
Right.
A lot of that.
I mean, gosh, school in general was
absolutely
traumatic for me. You know, I'm just saying.
It was for me too. Yeah. I remember when I first went to the psychiatrist back in December or January or whatever. After I'd been in the psych ward for a couple of days, and she was like, you know, going through the assessment with me, and she's like, "How are you in school?" I was like, "I was terrible," and she goes, "Yeah." I was like, "Bitch, you don't know me," but she got me. But she at that point, like, we talked for like an hour at that point. You know what I mean? And she asked that question. It was like, yeah. No. I get that.
Yeah. Exactly. See, for me, there's even like little small moments that I remember throughout like school history where it's like that caused me to feel a specific way, and I have carried that feeling with me today. And so it's crazy. Like, I'll have moments where I'm talking in a conversation, in a deep conversation. I've done this with Tyler multiple times, my husband, poor guy.
Poor guy.
We've been talking.
Poor guy because he's your husband, or
because he's listened to me.
Oh no.
But I will be in the middle of having a conversation with him, and a memory will pop up, and it's like I'll start talking about it, just like I'm telling a story, and then I connect the dots as I'm talking, and I'm like, oh my God, that was traumatizing to me. Oh my God. That is why I feel like X, Y, and Z today. And it's just nuts. You don't even freaking realize that half the time. And I bet you the majority of people who have been in church at all, maybe you're still in church, there is something that has been traumatic to you. And maybe it's even as simple as the idea of perfectionism. Maybe it's as simple as an item of clothing you wore to church one day. You know? Maybe it's as simple as a hug that lingered too long from a member of the church community. Things like that.
I remember back when Dad was, remember when we were going through that rocky period? Which one? That rocky period. There was a rocky period where like we were going to church, but Dad wasn't.
Yes. Yeah.
And I remember one point, he came to church with us for some reason. Like, it was like a special service or something. And Marvin, you remember the dude? He was one of the ushers. He comes over to Dad and grabs him by the arm and tries to like pull him up out of the seat to get him to stand up during the service. And Dad was like, "Get off of me!" Like, I was like, "Fuck you, dude!" Like, wow. But like, I
don't remember that.
Oh, I do distinctly.
But that would be traumatizing.
Oh, it was just horrible. I'm like, no wonder Dad. I just little shit like that. I would just. Okay. So here's one. So there's this couple who he is this tall African American dude. She is this short Taiwanese, Vietnamese, Taiwan.
Yeah.
Taiwanese.
Yeah.
And they would go to Taiwan.
She's adorable.
Oh, okay. and they would do mission work, and then they come
you know
back.
more about her than I do, apparently.
She really hurt my feelings one time because I thought we were all cool. Like I thought everyone was cool. Like I was on the worship team with him. I had been usurped a couple of times by him in the sense that songs that I had sung, all of a sudden he would be singing when like he came back into town. It was like, oh, he's gonna sing it, and that used to piss me off. You know what I mean? Which it shouldn't have. Yeah, that's gatekeeping. Like,
right.
That's my song. You know, like
Yeah, it was all
whatever.
over the place in church, though.
Yeah. But
yeah.
I was talking about him in front of his wife or to his wife or whatever. We were like at a group setting. It was after church, and I referred to him as his name, and she goes, "Call him Mr. Ross." And I was like, "Oh, I thought we were like cool," you know. Like, but the way she said it was really like condescending, and totally changed my view. Like, I was like, "Why?" Like.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah,
He's not better than me.
Right,
Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
So shit like that, little things like that stuck with me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like somehow you were like the pebble under his shoe and had to call him by his
Yeah.
title. Yeah.
Someone posted a picture. It was someone we've spoken about before. She posted a picture. And it was her and the couple, and then it was another person. It was another guy, and she posted a picture about. You know, she posts about old church stuff all the time, and I was like, one of these people really hurt my feelings one time, and commented on it, and she was like, message me, tell me what's going on, and I never did, but I was like, it's not worth it, but I should have commented in the first place. Well, listen, here's some advice from Auntie TT, and sometimes Auntie TT needs to take her own advice, but she does most of the time. If you find a Facebook post, and you're like, I don't agree with that, take a second and recognize whether or not taking the next 5 minutes to compose a giant-ass paragraph in defense of your argument is really worth the fight and vitriol you're going to get from total strangers on Facebook. Is it worth typing?
Do you really want that energy?
Do you really want that energy?
And more trauma.
It doesn't matter, you know what I mean? Whoever, like, I'm friends with so many people I say friends. I'm Facebook friends with a whole bunch of people on Facebook.
Right.
I'm just... Yeah. And a lot of church people, and I'm waiting for them to unfriend me. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna unfriend them because I don't have any beef with them other than the fact that they still go to church, or they're church people, and they talk about God, and it's really irritating sometimes because it's very triggering, and I have to burp. That was really attractive. Excuse me. I'm sorry. It was hurting. I was trying to keep it in. It was hurting.
Good.
But I see posts, and sometimes I can't help myself and I gotta comment, but goddamn, there are just people who comment on posts. I'm like, you don't have to comment, like, not my posts. Like, I'll be scrolling and I'll be like, oh, this is some drama.
Yeah.
And it's like, you didn't have to comment.
Right.
And sometimes it's unnecessary and it's cruel and it's unkind.
Yeah.
And it's like, you didn't have to comment that.
Right.
It's nothing off your back to just go scroll.
Yeah. What's the point?
What's the point, you know? So I didn't have to comment on this person's picture about this woman, but I did.
Well, I mean, a lot of times too, and I think that this is where trauma comes from as well when it comes to the churches, and we talk about this a lot in our podcast, but sweeping things underneath of the rug. It is traumatic to constantly it's kind of like gaslighting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, you think that people are a certain way, but they're actually not. And you're meant to sweep crap underneath the rug and pretend like these people are, you know, God's people, and they are, you know, a gift to our church or our life or whatever, or they're somehow worthy of X, Y, and Z. And I'm no one to say that nobody's worthy of anything here necessarily, but let's know who the people are. Who are we talking about?
Yeah.
Like, don't kid yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to each other about who these people are. So in some ways, I'm like, you know, I applaud you for doing that, because it's like, well,
yeah,
you kind of called it out.
I did. You're
You
right.
know?
You're right.
And it's the same thing that goes with like our abusers from the past and the stuff that were a part of the church, where it was like we've called that shit out before. You know, it's uncomfortable, but people have got to know what's what here. We can't just continue to create this dialogue that just keeps coming with trauma and sparking trauma in other people. And I feel like, honestly, where Taria and I are at in our journey with things, part of the reason why we had to call stuff out before is because we also know that we're not the only ones. You know?
Obviously, clearly, yeah.
Right? And it's like, people need to feel empowered to not let this stuff go unheard.
Yeah.
And that's why we are confessing. You know?
Seriously.
Because this shit has been hidden for way too long, and we are freaking tired of it.
I'm so tired of it. You know, there's been moments in the theater community where shit's been swept under the rug, and certain people have been allowed to be used in productions and have been chosen for director positions and have been given chances over and over and over and over and over again, and have proven themselves to be we'll say an unsafe person to be in the community. And it's just interesting to me because the truth will find you out, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so there are people who I have a certain beat, like I have a certain eye on them, you know what I mean? Like there's certain people that I'm only Facebook friends with because I'm like, I'm just watching. I'm like, all right, you know, and then like and people know, people come to me because I run my mouth on Facebook, and I'm like, people, the theater community needs to stop harboring predators, and, you know, and I'm posting stuff on Facebook, and people are messaging me about the same people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not just me, you know?
No, it's not.
So it's just really sad, you know, and obviously not every actor, you know? So, and in the sense of church, not every church. You hope. I posted on Facebook the other day, and I know it pissed somebody off. But I posted, hot take, churches aren't safe for places for children.
Woo!
Because the picture I shared with it was some sort of religious leader, some sort of pastor or something in like Idaho or some shit, got busted for CP.
Wow.
And like distribution charges and different things like that.
Wow.
And I was like, great, another religious leader is being exposed. And how many, you know, I used to work for a dance, a little dance studio. I did musical theater classes. And there was a dance teacher there who was this skinny little guy, and I thought he was cool, you know, like I'm totally a fruit fly when it comes to the queer community, you know. Of course, I identify as queer myself now, but at the time it was just like, I love gay people, you know, so I was like all about him. And he turned out to be not so good.
That sucks.
And got charges busted on him and stuff, you know.
God, that sucks.
And I was like, I hate that because, like, because you want to try so hard to believe that a man can be in the dance studio with children, and you can trust him to teach them techniques and different ways of moving their body without
being gross.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he, unfortunately, was being gross and was found out, and it broke my heart because I was friends with that guy, you know what I mean? Like, I liked him, and as a person, you know, but when I found that out, I was like, right under our noses.
I mean, but gosh, this happens in multiple communities, churches, but it also happens in families, you know, and we are very familiar with that one as well. So it's one of those things where it's like, and this is the sad fact of the matter, is you can't really trust anybody.
You can't.
Yeah, and that's kind of what trauma's kind of brought you back around to, you know, is it's like, you know, and that is a non-traumatic response, by the way. Like, I'm not responding that way because I am traumatized. I'm responding that way because it is the reality. Now, just because you can't trust somebody doesn't mean that you shouldn't try.
Okay.
Do you follow me?
You know, you give someone the benefit of doubt. You try to, you know, because it's not good to live in a world where you don't trust people and then you're just isolated
Right.
to yourself and your thoughts and your paranoia. But then it's like, how do you just gotta read people, you know, and even then it's so hard. Oh God.
It is, but I mean, like, as a parent, for instance, like, I'm extremely particular about like who my kid is around.
Mm-hmm.
And when I leave them alone, for instance, like, Taria right now is directing a play and my kids are in the play, and I am comfortable with leaving the theater and leaving my kids there because I know that my sister is a freaking hawk when it comes to my kids. So I'm not worried about it. You know, of course, I drop them off, pick them up, that kind of a thing. But, like, if that were anybody else, you better believe that I'd be sitting right there in the audience the entire time. You better believe that my butt's not leaving. Yeah. You know, like, I'm that person. So... You have to be. You
have to be. And it's so scary because...
Oh, I got a story.
Okay, I want to hear the story in a second.
Yep.
It's scary because as a person who... Like, I love kids. Excuse me, I burped again. Gosh darn it, I'm so sorry.
How dare you?
I love kids. I know.
Bodily functions.
That's the Red Bull, man. Or not Red Bull, Rockstar. I love kids. They're so cool. I think they're really, like, it's just the best part of life, you know, is working with kids, you know, and animals. Like, that's just the ideal for me. And I have to be careful, like, myself. Like, am I alone in a room with a child, you know?
Yes.
Am I putting someone in a position where they could be left alone in a room with another adult that's not me, you know, like stuff like that. I just worry to a fault, I think, because I have been in a compromising position as a child, you know, and left alone with folks who, you know what I mean? Like,
you even have to worry about children being left alone with children sometimes.
You do.
Too. Like,
you do.
And it's just wild. No, I have a story to tell you, though.
I want to hear it.
Yeah, this is not church related necessarily, but, like, this just blew my mind. So, a couple weeks back, my mother and I took my son to Columbus area, and we were looking around different shops and stuff, and just, you know, seeing things that we haven't seen before. And my husband took my daughter to a completely different city, and they went to, like, Spirit Halloween and Party City and things like that, like, looking at some other stuff. So they were kind of doing their daddy-daughter time. And my husband calls me in the middle of our day, separate, and he's like, hey, I just had the weirdest freaking thing happen to me. I was like, what in the world? He's like, yeah, we went to Spirit Halloween. We were walking around, and this little girl, like maybe a year or so older than my daughter, so she's probably like 7 or 8, comes walking over to my daughter and starts, you know, talking to her and calling her friend and whatnot. And the little girl runs up to her mother that she came in with and asks her mom if it's okay if she walks around with her new friend. Okay? Yeah. So this little girl that Selah did not know prior to being at the store asks her mom if it's okay to walk with Selah and Tyler around the store. And her mom said it was fine. Not only did she say it was fine, but she was out of sight.
No!
Majority of the time. Tyler kept trying to walk close to her because he's like,
Poor Tyler.
I don't want this. Like, he was extremely uncomfortable, and he's like, you know, riding that line of like, I'm a man alone with somebody else's small child, you know, like, it was a very uncomfortable situation for him. And he's like, I can't imagine ever doing that. Like, walking into a store, my daughter connects with somebody, I don't give a crap if it's a man or a woman, and being like, yeah, go walk with them. No!
You can't. Oh my God, I can't believe that she let her do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and he said it was like almost a half an hour. And he had to literally walk her back to the mother and be like, we're leaving. Like, I want you to have your daughter back before we leave. Like, girl got free babysitting for a half hour.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard. Oh my god, sis.
It was ridiculous.
Oh my God.
It was just one of those things, like, Tyler literally had to look at Selah and be like, I just want you to know, like, I would never do that as a parent. Like, I would never let you do that. Like, I would never be comfortable with that. And I'm not saying that in order to, like, make you feel bad or whatever, but that's not normal. You know?
Yeah.
Like, we don't do that.
Jesus, God, heaven above.
Because you don't know who the crap you're letting be with your kid. And that's either a parent who really is exhausted and doesn't give a shit. Or a parent who, just doesn't give a shit. Like, she just doesn't give a shit. Like, it's just like, nah, here you go.
People have done it for a long time, but, dumping their kids off at the mall and letting them hang out on a Friday night or something.
But we've done that in the church, too.
But, yeah, people will leave you in the church, lock-ins and youth groups and shit, and just leave their kids and hope
that these are safe people.
Hope you don't get diddled.
They seem like they're safe people because they worship the Almighty, but
women are in skirts, long skirts.
Right.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, but seriously, like, that should be a safe place, but it's fucking not, is it? You know, like,
I just rolled my eyes so hard.
Yeah, I know. I just had to share that, though. It was just so freaking wild to me. Like, don't trust your kids with strangers. Don't trust your kids with people in general. Like, know the shit out of the people that you trust your kids with, and even then, be wary. Just saying.
When I used to work,
Sorry.
No, I love it. When I used to work for, like, Walmart and stuff, I used to, like, there would be kids all the time walking around the store without an adult.
Yeah.
And there was one time, I don't remember which Walmart it was, because I worked for a couple. But I was towards the front of the store, and I was working in the clothing department. And this baby, like, toddler baby, just toddling along, heading for the front door. Not an adult inside. I mean, there was adults. There were people. But no one was walking with this child. So I dropped what I was doing. I dropped my shit. I had my Walmart vest on, you know what I mean? So, like, I was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I just kind of herded, like, walked around the child and didn't touch the child, but kind of watched the child, made sure, and it happened very quickly, and someone ended up showing up. But, it was like that. And then when I've worked for the zoo,
oh my gosh, I can imagine.
I have had so many times where there have been random kids walking around without a parent. And and especially Zoombezi Bay, every time we would go over there with our department and visit, Zoombezi Bay is a lawless wasteland. I love Zoombezi Bay, but, like, seriously, there are constantly kids crying and looking for their parents.
It sounds miserable to me.
It's not.
The kids have literally asked me to go so many times, and I'm like, no.
It's not.
I love you. No. We'll do other things.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool, but, like, it's just, people just let their kids run. And I can't tell you, and of course me and my brain full of true crime documentaries and serial killer documentaries and cult documentaries and conspiracy documentaries and stuff, all the bullshit I listen to, my brain goes to the worst possible scenario. And so every time I see a child walking around, I'm like, I could steal that child right now.
Yeah.
That's the thought I have.
Yeah.
I don't want to. But that parent, that guardian, the responsible adult for that child has put that child in a compromising position where anyone could walk up to that small child and pick them up and walk away with them.
Yep.
And we're in Zoombezi Bay, like I said, where children are already walking around and crying. So what's going to stop somebody?
Right.
Who's calling out a crying kid?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just wild. So
it's just...
But Tyler had... There was one time we were at Walmart, Tyler had to stop a young child from running outside without their parent. Like, the parent was nowhere in sight. Once again, toddler age, no freaking shoes on this baby. No freaking shoes, no socks. Barefoot in Walmart. And this baby is just waddling away in the store, and he has to jump in front of the child, not touching them once again, but jumping in front of the child, like, to prevent it from going outside and running into traffic.
Oh, Jesus God. I just can't. I can't, man.
Right.
I can't.
Right. This was not supposed to be a podcast about parenting.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
But it goes back to the fact that, like, honestly, like, our trauma in many ways has made us smarter. It's made us smarter. It's taught us some really hard freaking lessons.
Yeah.
And I would never want to look at you and say, or anyone for that matter, and be like, you know, your trauma was important. Like, you're supposed to go through it. Like, do you know what I'm saying, though? Like, but if I'm gonna be completely honest with you, our trauma teaches us lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those lessons.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and sometimes we don't actually know what's what until we actually go through something like that, unfortunately.
So another, I wanted to bring up something else.
Yeah.
Are we done talking about kids?
Yeah, go for it.
Getting kidnapped.
Yeah, jeez.
Potentially.
Jeez, watch your kids, y'all.
Watch your kids. So, obviously trauma is not always physical or sexual or anything like that, you know?
No.
Much like my friend in the choir was traumatized by Christmas music, I have found that I am traumatized by Christianity in general. And I'm not just being silly.
No.
So I'm gonna give an example here. New job, older lady comes in. She had a breathing tube or something. I don't know. She was older, and she had like an entourage of her, I think her daughters. Like, she had like 3 or 4 daughters with her, adult daughters, you know what I mean? And she was like, I just got out of the hospital. I wasn't supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be, you know, but the grace of the Lord, I'm here. You know what I mean? Basically, like,
right.
God's salvation saved her from, she was in hospice, basically.
Okay.
She almost died.
Wow.
And so she's still alive.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, that's great. And she was like, God's grace. And so my coworker and I are sitting there working with her, and she's like bringing it up, and like, you know, she's just like, you know, it's just, you know, the grace of God, and He's got a plan for every one of us. And I was just like, fucking stop, just stop. And I just hate it because it makes me cringe when someone tries to evangelize, because I recognize it, right?
Right.
I speak that language.
Right.
I speak that language still.
Very intimately.
I know how to evangelize to someone. I know how to speak to someone about God and Christ and Jesus and being saved and born again. I fucking know all the tricks of the trade. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I know what you mean. Yeah. So
when I know someone's going down that way, it makes me just seize up. And I can't. And I'm the kind of person. See, it's if I'm on the clock. You know, I have a great work ethic in the sense that, you know, I'm there for the customer. I am the servant to the customer. I am, you know, they're not better than me, but I am there to serve the customer. I'm there to represent the company and be a good employee.
Right.
And take care of the customer. Customer service is major to me.
Right.
You know, customer satisfaction is major to me. So I'm not going to blow this lady off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be rude to her.
Right.
But at the same time, I have to somehow tiptoe through the tulips and try and get through the next 30 seconds of her talking about it.
Trying to evangelize.
Yeah. And it just,
Yep.
it makes me cringe so much. And it's just like, it's like, I try to think of how to say it. You Christians give tells. Like, you can tell when someone is a Christian. You can tell when someone, you know what I mean? Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or is a churchgoer. You know what I mean? You know, sometimes you can just tell, especially when they're adamant like that lady was. You know, sometimes you can tell by the way they're dressed. And sometimes you can tell by the way they talk. When I used to be a server in this restaurant in Circleville, I used to play this game called Youth Pastor or Worship Leader. where these guys would come in from the local college, and there's a Christian university, and they would come in, and I'd be like, is he a youth pastor or worship leader? Based on the way he was dressed.
Right, right.
And 9 times out of 10, I would be right.
That's
Youth pastor or worship leader. Not, is he a worship pastor or is he a worship? No, which one is he?
Yeah, you could freaking pinpoint it. One. Yes, yeah.
But it's just so funny. And
That's
so
hilarious.
you see those people entering your realm of existence, whether in public or at a restaurant or the store, whatever. And I see those people. You know how a cat, when it gets freaked out, it gets all bristled up and its back arches up and its tail and all the fur, it's just like,
the Halloween cat.
The Halloween cat. You know what I mean? Where it's just like all freaked out.
Yeah.
It's like, Yeah. That's how I feel. Whenever a Christian, somebody walks near me and I know, or someone starts talking about Jesus, I'm like, I'm like, stop. Because it makes me uncomfortable because I don't want to talk about that.
Because you've talked about it forever.
Yeah, and they don't know that, So it
is not their fault.
It's not their fault.
No.
It's exactly. No. So that lady, for instance, it was not her fault.
But you're recognizing that this is traumatizing.
It is traumatizing.
The fact that you have been traumatized by the idea of just church in general. And once again, it's so interesting to me because this is something that I've realized is it's not that I feel traumatized by the story of Jesus. It's not that I feel traumatized by the freaking majority of the freaking content that's there. It's the fact that I'm traumatized by the people. The people. By the people. I have a fun story for you. You ready for this one?
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
This one hits close to home. Buckle in, Buttercup.
Oh my God.
No, so it is pretty widely known in our life that we have interesting relationship with my husband's side of the family. In other words, we don't communicate very much with his side of the family anymore because our beliefs are different. Even though there might be some things that we still agree on, they feel like we are so vastly different than them that, we are to be condemned. We are to be ostracized in some ways and to be looked down upon because we don't believe in what they believe in. Or I don't believe in what they believe in. My husband still does to a degree.
They're staunch Christians. They're
prosperity doctrine, staunch. Seriously.
No, I know.
Yeah. Because this is what happened is we haven't talked to them in several weeks, and all of a sudden my husband and I received a letter in the mail with my mother-in-law's name on it, and we open it up and it's some kind of a pamphlet handout thing from church or from a religious newsletter or I don't know, something. And she had circled, and the only way that we knew it was from her was because it was her address and stuff on the front of the envelope. That was the only personalized thing in the entire letter. But she circled a scripture about prosperity. And I'll be honest with you, I don't remember exactly what it said because I immediately just kind of tuned it out. Because I'm like, you don't realize, even if you in your mind are coming from that place, first off, I know that the place you're coming from is judgment. It's not love.
She's so tone deaf, dude. I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. I have so many opinions.
No, but this is the issue. but this is an example of the issue that is traumatic from Christian people when we are trying to force our agenda in someone's face, or anybody trying to force your agenda in somebody else's face to the point where you're like, no, pay attention. Mm-hmm. That doesn't get you anywhere. All that does is it brings up wounds of trauma in somebody else, not from the content that you're talking about, but from people like you.
Snaps Virginia.
It's freaking the individuals and their heart that causes the problem. Period.
We've said it before. There are people that on Facebook in our lives, if they reached out to me and they said, hey, miss you, love you, praying for you, I'd be like, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Genuinely.
Love you too. Listen, just because someone's a Christian doesn't mean I automatically don't like them.
No, not at all.
There are plenty of people in this world that I love and adore who are very much into the Christian faith and post about Jesus and God and everything every day. And it makes me cringe. Once again, it makes me cringe. There are things that people post on Facebook that make me cringe.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe in it. Or I don't agree with it. It's so hard. And then there's somebody. Were you done with that story? I'm sorry.
No, you're totally fine. Go.
I went to one coffee shop today in town, and they were closed. So I had to go to another coffee shop that I don't normally go to. But I was like, I'll go, whatever. Because I'm not a fan of this one because it has undertones of Christian vibes to it, where I'm like, you know what I mean? And so I didn't want to go. And there are a couple of shops in the building. They share the space with the coffee shop that are Christian leaning. And so you know what I mean? I just don't feel comfortable going in those places because it made me uncomfortable. But my friend, a person I worked with before in a play, owns one of the shops. And she's a good, godly person. And she has a big family. And she's a beautiful woman. And she's running for a public seat in local government. And politically, I don't think our politics align, but she's, you know what I mean? But as a person, I love her. And so I randomly saw her today.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I was waiting for her to see me. Like, she was talking to other people. And so I kind of was like waiting for her to catch her eye.
Right.
And she saw me and she was like, yeah! I was like really happy to see me. And I was like, you're like running for mayor. That's so crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, you're doing this. You have all these kids. You have the shop. Like, I said, you're so blessed. Like, it's so great, you know? And she just, everything she said was like, by the grace of God, and well, God doesn't allow blah, 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 but she said it in a way where it wasn't putting the conversation in a box, a Christian box, where she was forcing the conversation in that way. And I flat out was like, I said, I'm shaky with my beliefs about God, but I believe there's a higher power, and I believe that there is a creator of the universe of some sort. And I believe they want us to be happy.
Right.
I hope. That's the hope, So because when I think about leadership, and we went on and talked about leadership and this, that, and the other, and just about different things and stuff. But all this to say, like, when I know someone's cool and they're not going to proselytize to me and they're not going to talk down to me and they're going to come to me on my level, which is what she said. She said, Jesus didn't say, come to me on my level. Jesus went to you on your level. Jesus met the woman at the well, is what she said. She said,
right.
So when I said, she said that after I said that I don't believe in, my belief, my faith in Christ is shaky, blah, 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 whatever. But it was just like, God's going to meet you where you are.
Yeah.
I'm like, I accept that message. It's out of love, it's out of respect, it's out of care, and that's how this person is there, you know what I mean? It's just like, there's a way to be a decent, loving Christian. You can tell me that you're a Christian without preaching to me, and I know and here's the problem, Jania.
Go.
The problem is and I'm going to use the word indoctrination, but what I really want to use is the word brainwashing. And I want to use the word conditioning because how many times were we taught that message of go, baptize, make disciples, preach, evangelize, that concept of, like, that's the word, that's the mission, that's the
right, that's
the mission
purpose.
Statement.
That's why you're here.
Excuse me, we're here to make more disciples. Christianity is really like a pyramid scheme if you think about it.
Woo. Dear God.
It is, because that's what they want. Get your downline. Where's your downline? Do you have how many are in your downline? How many Christians did you bring into church today?
And once again, we are talking about majority of what we have seen, and it's not everybody.
It's not everybody, but but the indoctrination, here's what I was gonna say. The indoctrination has put the fear, literally the fear of God, but this fear in Christians, where there are people who are genuinely like, we gotta save souls. We gotta save them.
Yeah, they are.
People are going to go to hell. And that's the worst possible scenario. That's the worst possible scenario for a Christian, is that you die and you go to hell for all eternity.
As we were sitting here talking, there's so many things where it's like, well, that traumatized me and I didn't realize it.
Yeah.
Like the whole concept of, we're going to hell. That just in general is traumatizing. There's only one way to heaven, or only one way to redemption. That is freaking traumatic to think about. Are you still? You keep going.
No. It's just
it jogged a memory.
No, so. I get it. It's so crazy. It's just one of those things where it's just like, I don't remember where I was going with that.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry.
I was talking about like people. It's and you see it in young people, like especially young people who are heavy in the youth group and stuff. Like, you got to get your friends in youth group. You got to get your friends in church.
Invite people in.
Hey, we got a pizza party.
We got this cool event coming up.
Hey, John Rubin's coming to rap for us. Oh wait, not anymore.
I still love listening to his stuff though. I'm sorry.
If anyone knows who John Rubin is, he was like a famous Christian rapper. Yes. He was from Columbus. He was friends with people we were related to who were youth leaders, and so we got to see him perform a lot, and then he got big, and it was really cool to be like, oh, I know that guy. Like, I have literally sat and had lunch and spoken with this person. It's so sorry. That was a core memory.
Unlocked.
Yeah.
Nah. He was cool.
He was cool.
He was one of those people, though, I have to say this, like, he was real about what he believed, but he also seemed like he had like a low-key vibe.
Yeah.
Like, even though he was out kind of like doing his thing, like, he wasn't the person that's going to be like getting up in your face with a freaking bullhorn, if that makes any sense. So.
Yeah. Yeah. If some of his songs rub me the wrong way now, I think about him and I'm like, that's kind of judgmental, but whatever, we're not going to get into that. No, bottom line is, it's just, there's just, and I think I wish I could say it, I think it's dying away, but I don't think it is. I think people are still judgmental.
That's the key issue, isn't it?
Well, you know what, here's what I'm going to say, as long as we got people who are so far up their own asses in their beliefs that they're putting on masks and standing outside of events that they don't agree with and screaming hateful rhetoric. As long as there's those people at that level, there's got to be people who are judgmental, like your mother-in-law.
Yeah.
Because that's the cushion, right?
Yeah.
Well, at least I'm not that bad. At least I'm not, At least I'm not doing, Like, the people can do that, Anyways.
I'm not doing that to them. Yeah.
It's all hurtful.
Well, I mean, even the simplest thing is, like, there was one Sunday where Tyler and we moved to North Carolina years and years and years ago, just to kind of change up life, we'll say. Mm-hmm. And we absolutely loved our time in North Carolina, but we had a hard time at first finding a church. So we were, like, church hopping, visiting different places and whatnot. There was one Sunday we go in to visit one little church, as a brick building, small town church. And at first we were both like vibing because we're like, all right, cool. There's like a younger pastor, a younger wife. Like, the church members were a little bit older, but you could tell like there was some fresh vibes coming in. Cool. So we were like down, to listen, to see what's going on. What was the very freaking first, no joke, sermon that we heard out of this person's mouth?
Oh God.
It was fire and brimstone.
Oh God.
make disciples. They're gonna go to hell if we don't do anything.
They're gonna burn in hell for all eternity.
That was it.
Oh my God.
That was it. And like members of the church were like, woo, you know, hooting and hollering over it and whatnot. And Tyler and I, even in the point of, you know, we're still, you know, active Christians and stuff like that in the church, and we're looking at each other and we're just like, no. No. So we got up and we left that church afterwards, and we did sit through it because we were, you know, kind people. And it was a very small room, so it was like you got up, everybody noticed you got up, you know. But we afterwards, we were just both like, we recognize that is not a mission or a message that we either one of us aligned with, and that it was like jarring, you know. It was traumatic in its own way, like how we're still doing this, we're still beating this message into people, like that happens, like that hasn't disappeared.
It's scary, dude.
That's still like freaking everywhere.
It's scary,
you know.
It's antiquated and unnecessary and it's scary.
There is an idea that has been traumatic to me in church, and I'll kind of leave my last like little bit of something that's traumatized me that has carried over in my life.
Okay.
In church in general, and I'm talking about every church that I have ever visited, every pastor that I have ever listened to, the key like message that I have been taught has been, we are shit and we are nothing without God. This disempowering message of how little we are has just carried with me so much in my life that just now, in the past couple of years as an adult, I'm starting to unpack. And I'm starting to realize like how deeply that message has just been within my freaking DNA.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah. And so now in my life, I'm coming to a point where like I've started to really fucking empower myself significantly. And I'm recognizing all of the things that I thought I was, like this girl with a small voice who sat in the corner of a room, who felt like she was traumatized constantly in school because she never freaking spoke up, and all of this bullshit. And even when I saw like wrongs being done, like I always felt like I was small, and it came from layers of trauma, mind you.
Yeah.
But this was one of those layers, and it was like, holy shit, like your belief system disempower you as a person.
Yep.
No. And it's nuts because it's completely the freaking opposite. Like when you actually realize like you're actually a really, like, your whole existence is because of you, basically. Like your world around you happens because you've orchestrated it thusly, you know, like, and you have the power to take shit back, you know, and change it. Your life doesn't have to be the way that it is, you know what I mean? Like,
you don't have to stay where you are.
You don't have to stay where you are. No, you do not.
Oh man.
But it's just crazy. Like, I've let the indoctrination, I should say, we've let it in, but also being indoctrinated, being brainwashed, as you said earlier, from a small age, like this. And this is why, like, even if my kids ask me to go to church now, it's like, I'm waiting until you're older.
Yeah.
Like, if you know when you're 15 years old that you want to go to church, okay, you know? But, like, right now, while you're little and you're establishing who you are, just at the base levels, we're not doing that. We're not doing that because I don't want you to learn disempowerment now.
That you're a piece of garbage for being a human being.
That you're a piece of garbage because you looked at something a certain way, or you thought about something, or, you know, you, whatever it is, maybe we're a little bit angrier than you normally are, and that makes you, you know, POS, or like crap like that, where it's like we've taken that in as that is us.
Yep.
That is who we are.
Yep. We are our sins.
And in order to be clear from that, we have to constantly repent, constantly search for the kingdom of God, constantly go after Jesus. And I'll be honest with you right now, and I've said this a lot since I've started my turn away from the church, we'll say. And I say the church because it's the church that I've turned away from. But I feel closer now to the teachings and stuff of Jesus than I did when I was in church. I will say that, and I'm sure you guys have heard me say it several times, but it's freaking true. But Jesus taught us to empower ourselves, not disempower ourselves, and that's the lie that the church is told, and that's the trauma that we've been raised in.
Yeah.
You know?
There's so many videos I've seen recently where it's like a pastor or religious leader standing up in front of people, and they're like, the Bible says blah blah blah, the Bible says blah 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 and XYZ, you know what I mean? And someone's like debunking it, like the Bible doesn't say that anywhere. It's like, but people are putting words in God's mouth, and they're putting words in the Bible that aren't there.
Yeah.
Now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just scary. Like all these, what was spare the rod, spoil the child. Have we talked about that yet?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just the concept of, I've been raised, I am 36 years old, and it took me up until earlier this year to realize that spare the rod, spoil the child is not verbatim a scripture. Like
that was the abbreviated scripture. Yeah.
But but it's a little idiom that some Pentecostal came up with 1,000,000 years ago, and we adopted, and it's so annoying. It's so annoying because how many other of those stupid little things do we carry with ourselves, or little ideas that we carry with ourselves that are, how many of those are man-made? Or
right.
Like constructed by someone recently and not written in the Word of God.
Right.
You know?
Right. And we won't even get into the other part of things where we've talked about before, where it's like the text has been distorted and words have been misused and things have been reinterpreted, and then we also take them out of context and, you know, we use it to push a particular agenda in our sermon rather than realizing the word for what it is, you know. That's the thing that's crazy. And this is the thing that I noticed too. So I'm in school right now, I'm in college, right? And one of the big things that I'm learning about is I'm in the field of communications, and I'm learning about how freaking people communicate with each other and how we communicate around the world, basically. And majority of the time that we speak, we have an agenda. We have an agenda that we're holding, a biased viewpoint, a biased agenda, and sometimes we are numb to that, and we don't know that we are even doing it, but we just have it because it's part of our makeup.
It's true.
You know, it's part of who we are.
Yeah.
You know, so in anything that you read, listen to, that you follow, that you say, this is my truth, don't fucking listen to another human being. Listen to it for yourself. Like, listen to their words and then take it and then sit with it. And then figure out if that's something that fits for you.
And then find the references.
And then fucking educate yourself.
Educate yourself.
Yeah, know why this is said the way that it's said. Where does it come from? You know, like, research your shit. I never did that before. That is the difference between me and my husband as far as, you know, where we were in Christianity and stuff, you know, when we first met. Like, he's a highly educated person who, like, legitimately has deconstructed the Bible several times. You know, so the things that he believes because he believes. Does that make sense?
Not because he was told to believe.
Not because he's told, and that's the complete difference between the two of us. And there are people like him out there who already do this, but there's a lot of us. There's a lot of us.
Yeah. It's scary.
It is scary. So freaking educate yourself in anything. Like, find your truth in the midst of all of this bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And like make sure that you have your proof to back it up. Like you're not just taking somebody's word for it.
And can I just say something? Apply that to voting. Apply that to the government.
Yeah.
Seriously, like educate yourself on matters that are happening locally and nationally. I'm learning, and I don't want to make this about politics, but
it's important.
But you need to educate yourself on the world around you and the people who are controlling the world around you. And my boyfriend is very like politically charged. Like he loves to listen to stuff, commentary on politics and stuff. And so I hear I'm not gonna name names. I hear a certain name a lot because there's a certain person who has been very popular for a couple years now in the political world, and I can't stand them, and I wish they would go away. But they're very popular right now, and so everyone's talking about them.
Right.
And so he listens to stuff about them and stuff, and then but with that person comes other people, you know, all these different names, and I'm like, well, who's that? Well, who's that? Well, who's that?
Right.
You know, and he's like, you don't know who so and so is, and I'm like, no.
Right.
Like, why does this person matter? You know what I mean? Like, who's so and so? You know, and so it's like I'm learning that as an adult. I wish more emphasis had been pushed on politics to a point, but I'm also glad that we weren't raised in a politically charged household because our parents believed in things that are radically different than what we believe now. I'm glad that we had a little bit more, like, there's a little bit more vagueness to it.
Well, I mean, the only reason why it was vague is because it was like, we believe politically what our church tells us to believe politically.
Which is so fucked up.
Yeah.
You should not be getting your politics from church. You should be getting your politics from politics.
I mean, have your values. Like, understand where your values are, but like, come the crap on. Understand the issues.
Your pastor should not be endorsing candidates, verbally or financially.
Yeah.
There you go.
Word.
That's all I don't know enough about politics to be a political person. But I'm learning, and I'm learning that I don't know.
Well, but this is where we've been disempowered once again, is it's like, any time that we have not researched things for ourselves in the past, church-wise, politically, otherwise, and we've just taken somebody's word on it, or we've just gone that way because we've always been Republican, so we've always voted Republican.
Yeah.
You know, because that's just, this is the Republican person, we're voting for this person.
Yeah.
Like, anytime you do that, you are disempowering yourself, you're giving your power away.
Yeah.
You are an individual who is freaking intelligent. You have the ability to learn new things. You have the ability to educate yourself and then make decisions based on your education, your knowledge, your wisdom.
Snaps, Virginia.
Sorry.
No,
I'm all passionate about it because it's like one of those things where it's like, I've come to that point in my life where I'm angry with myself in some ways, and I'm trying to work through that anger where it's like, you let that happen.
Yeah.
You let yourself be that person in that place and that time because you didn't educate yourself. Because you decided that you were just going to give your power away to somebody else's viewpoint, opinion. And it's bullshit, people. We should not be this way. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, trauma. But that's how trauma impacted me from the church, honestly. Like, that was a huge part of my trauma and something that I constantly am working within myself.
Yeah. And we could talk more and more about, I mean, we could sit here for hours and talk about our traumas and trauma in general. And we'll talk more about trauma as life goes on.
I mean, obviously. What are we?
Right.
That's the whole freaking point of our podcast. Yeah, but for now, I think this is a good one to put a pin in, to be honest with your friends. Don't disempower yourself. Freaking educate yourself. What else, Churia? Don't leave your kids alone.
Do not leave your children alone at the store.
Messages.
Oh my Lanta! So pay attention to who you're voting for. Pay attention to what the pastor's telling you behind the pulpit, and don't leave your damn kids alone in the store.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, pay attention to the world around you,
Pay
man.
attention to the world around you, man.
Yeah.
Soylent Green is people, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta read through the lines and stuff, and read between the lines, not through the lines.
Read through them too.
Read
but-
through the lines, man. Yeah. No, but we sound like conspiracy podcasters now.
That's good.
Oh well.
We are who we are, and that's enough, isn't it? You guys are here because you are interested in what we have to say in our stories, you know?
I love that song, yes. Yeah, exactly.
So,
Alright, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We are on Spotify now. You can listen to us wherever there's podcasting stuff. Please, 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 I'm learning that this is a thing. Like our stuff. Give us ratings. Rate us on Spotify if you can. Like, give us a 5-star. Give us reviews, please. Review us on Facebook. Review us wherever you can review us.
because when you do that, you get us noticed.
Yeah. You boost us up when we really need. I just would like to share our message of whatever it is we're talking about to the world. You know what I mean? No, I mean in the sense of whatever we're talking about each episode.
Whatever the hell it is. I don't know.
I just want people to listen to whatever this is.
So I'm just babbling today.
Yeah. No, we love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I love this podcast. I love what it's doing for us because it's making me think more. I'll say this real fast. I learned in therapy that anger is a secondary emotion. Anger comes after something else. Is it pain? Is it embarrassment? Is it, what is it?
A fear.
Is it fear? Thank you. Like, what is the initial feeling? You know what I mean? So, I was going with something else. So I look at, why am I angry at the church? Why am I angry at Christians? Why do I have so much bitterness,
Those that were listening that are probably hardcore Christians would be like, it's because you don't got...
It's because you ain't got Jesus in your heart! You ain't in church no more! Anyways. But this is causing me to dig into the primary of what everything is.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate this experience.
It's a good one.
It is.
Yeah.
Alright. You done?
I'm done. Take care of yourselves. Love each other.
Yeah.
Do good in the world.
Be kind. It's funny. I told my actors for my play the other day to be kind as they go throughout lives and as they're going into the school years, to be kind to the other students. We need more kind people in the world.
That's what we need.
What the world needs now, is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of.
Yeah.
Alright,
We're leaving ya.
bye.